This is a piece called The Royal Treatment. It was written under the pseudonym Lily McNeil. It says, with apologies to the late Ogden Nash. I would like to publicly proclaim that I, for one, do not think the President is guilty of base, low, or tiny-minded malfeasance, and that although the former Vice President has made me sad, at least he didn't do anything that could correctly be described as high treasons, and that although the former Attorney General and the former Secretary of Commerce may or may not be legally indictable, I think any small petty wrongs they may have committed are probably readily rightable. And the former counsels of the President, and the 2 former assistants to the President, and the 2 former special assistants to the President, and the former acting director of the FBI are all okay guys in my book. And I devoutly wish that someone like Little Joe Cartwright, Spider-Man, Alain Robbe-Grillet, or the Maharishi could jump in there and get them off the hook. And I really don't believe in my heart of hearts that the President would go so far as to bug his brother. And the 2 missing tapes aren't important because since they didn't exist in the first place, how could they contain any terrible news that somebody might want to suppress, sequester, stifle, or smother? And what happened to those admirable gentlemen, Richardson, Ruckelshaus, and Cox, shocked and dismayed me, but I was able to drain it from the wading pool of my mind by reading 14 improving tracts by Increase Mather while simultaneously listening to the complete works of the entire family of Bachs. Still, all of the accusations and denials and leaks and plumbing and frocking and unfrocking and $100 bills running around in suitcases with no human hands attached to them except maybe people in red wigs and furore and shouting and high-level pomposity does tend to create in us of the silent majority a degree of what might be called anonymosity. I get the distinct impression that the American form of government is exhausted and puffing and panting, and that something neater along the lines of, say, absolute monarchy, might be more enchanting. And so for king I would like to nominate, with all due modesty, me, the first woman king, to whom in these times of raised consciousness and equal opportunity employment no fair-minded former voter could object, could he? People are tired of going into those little booths and looking at those long lists of candidates, most of whom they don't even recognize the names of. Wouldn't it be simpler just to have a sovereign, that they could cluster in a square when she appeared bowing on a balcony, and throw their hats in the air and shout the acclaims of? Save trillions and trillions by abolishing the executive, judicial, and legislative branches with all their offices, buildings, secretaries, pension plans, and places they have to hurry at lunchtime in their official limousines to be at. Instead, there'd just be me and my Fiat. I don't really think we need all those checks and balances the Constitution provides, which leaves the Tsar, Caliph, Shah, or Doge trembling and tense in the air like a flying Walenda, a situation in which you'll admit it's very difficult to get the people's business justly and efficiently off your calendar. I promise I wouldn't be lofty, remote, or otherwise unduly regal. I promise I would try to do things in ways that were definitively, you understand, legal. And all of the Congress would have to go out and get added to the labor force and seek gainful employment and social utility, instead of drowning the great issues of the day in a bog of blather, hebitude, codswallop, and piggy ignobility. And all of the Supreme Court justices would have to take off their robes and put on ordinary suits and ties and go down and sit in the agora, in obedience to the divine dictum of the hero architect Mies van der Rohe that less is more. And I wouldn't have anybody near the throne capable of embarrassing me by his quasimotic behavior except maybe my consort, who would probably be Albert, Philip, Ralph, Igor, or some other name that I love, which wouldn't prevent me from, if he got out of line, slapping him upside the head with my velvet hand in its iron glove. Lily the First is a nomenclature that I wouldn't mind responding to, graciously, and I've already spoken to the Moran Company about the royal barge, spaciously. My proposal is, I admit, anti-democratic, un-American, and anachronistic. But wouldn't it be better than the present Megillah in which the sacred persons of the governmental trinity find themselves facing each other in postures positively pugilistic? And if I did something clearly reprehensible, you wouldn't have to convene 18 different investigatory bodies to figure out who to guillotine. There'd only be me, walking in a stately manner, in my best Halston, toward the shredding machine.